So today we're going to go over everything knee related in terms of assessment and hands-on feeling through the tissues. Now, the knee's a tricky joint. I quite often find myself looking below it at the ankle, above it at the hip, or even further up when it comes to a knee. But today, because we're going to keep this in succession, we're going to look at the knee, then feed it back down into the foot to see how that might affect things coming up. So the first thing I look at, it's just a basic standing exam. So I'll be seeing if a kneecap is pointing maybe this direction and a foot is pointing that direction. In that case, it's a no-brainer that knee is going to start to feel quite uncomfortable after a while. So I'll move out to there. And then from there, start it into a little bit of movement. So just a light squat, a knee bend. I don't normally cue it too much. I just say bend your knees, and I'll put my hands on the tibia and the femur and just see if it unlocks as it flexes. Now, there's a little bit of debate over whether it internally or externally rotates. So I'm greedy, because if I need to squat this way at any point, we're going to be feeling different things at different knees. So actually, I would like to have both. So I just put my hands on there and I just feel the slight unlocking or lack of unlocking on those knees as they go down. And quite often what I'll do then, if it's a painful movement, I'll just put a little rotation one way in the knee, reassess, does it change it? A little rotation the other way, a little shift, just play around with a few of the variables in the knee and see actually if we can reduce the pain, and if we can, that gives us an in. From there, usually I put 1 foot forwards, and again, we're feeling the same thing at the knee. What happens at that joint? Does it unlock? I'll then take one hand on the distal fibula head there and just put my hand over it and feel if it moves. So I should be feeling it just rock back as the knee comes forwards there to make some space for the talus, the big bone on the foot there. And then I'll come back up onto the top and I'll just feel through the top of the fibula, which actually, I don't think you can see from there, but just the angle of the bone means that actually to move it, we just bring it out on a little angle. And again, I'm seeing what happens up there as well. Pain permitting, I then have a look to see how the whole complex is working. So I make it a little less stable. Now again, this isn't for everyone, but if I have someone bounced on one leg, just like we did with the foot assessment, and then if that's cool, I see if there's any wobbles or anything going on, then we challenge it. A little bit of a knee bend. Then maybe putting a little bit of a foot reach as well, but without transferring the weight onto the foot. A little reach out to the side, a little reach around the corner, just to see when we challenge it, how the foot, knee and hip and everything else, which we'll get to later, respond to that, to see if there's any reason why that knee might be getting beaten up in everyday life, whatever that is for that particular person. So from there, that's pretty much most of that assessment. The other thing I look is just seeing where it actually goes standing, get them into, if there's movement to come down, get a full range of motion there. And then we take it off weight bearing. So with this, I'll look definitely at the patella, see how that moves, see if it's all bound down. We have a little bit of gapping in the knees, so just shift it from side to side, see if there's excessive movement in there. Again, take it into flexion and extension to see if you can get full range of extension as well, because sometimes that's missing. And see if it will rotate into flexion and rotate back out into extension. From there, also passively through the fibula, also foot, hip, blah, blah, blah. A couple little tests. I like to have a look at a draw. So seeing if I pull it forwards or push it backwards, if there's excessive range of motion, which might suggest cruciate ligaments in there, and also have a good palpate around the joint line as well. So we can feel into where sometimes the meniscus gets nipped, and that can be quite sensitive around there, into the tendons to see if it's a tendon issue, just to hone down actually what is going on in the knee. So we're looking for the biomechanics of what predisposed it, and then the actual tissue. So if it is a patella tendon, there's some fantastic protocols out there to start loading it alongside working on the predisposing factors. From there, a little bit of muscle testing always. So if you think about anything which needs to decelerate that knee from coming forwards, assuming we've lost the stability there, it could be something up in the hip, anything from, I've seen pelvic floor issues affecting all the muscles coming down the legs, anything up there, adductor strains, blah, blah, blah. And then down into the foot, if there's instability in the foot, how that's going to affect the knee. So one little example, which we chatted around on CPD day, was this big toe here. If you haven't got range in your big toe, it's going to affect a lot of things in gaits. It's going to affect how you land, how you come over it, and ultimately how you push off it when you need that big toe to bend. So just looking at this motion here, if we haven't got range, I see usually 3 options. One more regularly and then the other 2 every now and again. So the obvious one is if I can't get over my toe, I can turn my foot out. And as I turn my foot out, you can see how that over time is going to put pressure and give that kind of bunion effect in the big toe there as well. But more importantly, it's going to start setting up that torsion where the shin rotates out and the femur is going to be relatively rotated in, so putting that torsion through the knee. The other one I see is occasionally, I haven't seen this that much, but people go the other way. So instead of spinning out, they actually roll onto the outside of the foot so that they don't have to push through that big toe. Again, that sets up a whole different cascade. And then the last one is, instead of getting full hip extension, which goes with that big toe, you actually lift it up early. So the knee bends early and you never extend the hip. And if we're talking about knee pain, if you think about the muscles which come down over there, you've got the rectus femoris muscle which comes over the hip into the knee, various things down there which can affect the balance with tension to the ITB for the glutes and TFL, and then also the tightness of the quads coming back down into the knee from all the concentric lifting. So, loads of material there for a CP day. Hope that is useful, and we will see you next time for the hip, which is really cool.